I called the cops on my Hispanic dad. Let's talk about it. Grab your snacks, grab your popcorn, because this is going to be pretty long. January of 2021, my parents had already been fighting really bad to the point that I had to like get in between them for them to actually stop arguing, because things were getting physical between them. My mom even stayed with me in my room for a couple nights because she did not feel safe around my dad anymore, and that happened for a couple months, all the way towards May of that same year. May 27th, my mom was in my room and we were watching TikToks, and my dad was in his room, and then my brothers were in their room. So my dad knocks on my door and says, hey, can I talk to your mom, please? My mom was like, yeah, that's fine. You can just go to your brother's room and check up on them. So that's what I did. They were watching a movie, so I stayed with them and watched the movie for like a good 10 minutes. And then my mom comes into my brother's room and she was holding her wrist. She said, we're leaving, let's go. Turned out that my dad had kicked my mom out, and obviously like we were gonna leave with her, so we took our dogs and we were outside of the house, and turned out that my dad was actually twisting her wrist, and she did end up calling the cops on him. And I know you're gonna say, I thought you called the cops. I did, but let me get to the story, okay? So the cops come, it's like 11:30ish at night, and they come and they take him. Obviously, he gave us that look like, how could you? And as soon as we went back into the house, it was just like, it felt better without him, if I'm being honest. Well, a week went by and my mom tells me that she had a call that my dad reached out and said, hey, can I please go and get my truck and my clothes? My mom, being nice, even though she had a restraining order on him, she said, sure, but you only come in for your clothes and your truck and then you leave. So my dad ends up coming over. It's like around 10:30ish, almost 11. He was drunk. He was an alcoholic, so it was not really a surprise that he was drunk because he would drink every single day. Mom was like, hey, get your stuff and then just go. And obviously he was drunk and he didn't listen. He basically only came over to beg my mom for him to stay in the house because he was not comfortable in the motel. It took us, literally me and my mom, it took us like almost 2 hours to get him out. If not, then we were gonna have to call police again. He eventually left, and the next day I had to go to summer school, so my mom had to go to work and my brothers had to stay with my neighbors. They were like our back neighbors, so we were like super close to them. I was already running late because I couldn't find my house keys. I could not find my house keys whatsoever. So I was like, you know what, my mom had like already left, so I told my brothers like, hey, I can't find my house keys, and I'm literally running late, so I'm gonna call y'all and y'all gonna come open the door, okay? And they were like, yeah, okay. So summer school ends like around 12:30, and then I get home. It takes me like 20 minutes. And I call my brothers, and they were like, yeah, we'll go open the door, let's go. Now that they were there, they could finally be with me and not my neighbors, right? Literally, almost 10 minutes later, I hear a knock on the front door. I had like a window where you can see like the front, so you can't see who's knocking, but you can see like the cars and if there's some people around, but not like at the very front. I saw my dad's truck and I immediately called my mom because I was like, what do I do? I was scared because I had my brothers with me, and obviously like I'm gonna do everything like my brothers to like nothing happened to them. And she was like, go back to your neighbors right now. I told my brothers, go get your shoes and let's go. So they managed to leave before me because I was trying to like get them out of the door first. And as soon as I'm like about to go out the back door, the front door opens. He ended up taking my house key the night before. The first thing that he said to me was like, hey, why didn't you open the door? And I told him, well, I mean, you're not really supposed to be here. And he said, I'm just gonna shower and grab like the rest of my things. I eventually like came up with the excuse like, oh, my neighbors are calling me, like I have to go. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I ended up going to my neighbors, and from the night before, we stayed up so late because we were trying to get my dad out of the house, and I had like summer school like in the morning, so I was like tired, right? And I knew, I was like, you know what, I know my brothers are safe here, so I'm gonna take a nap. I took my nap, and that nap ended up taking like 4 to 5 hours. And when I wake up, I look at my phone, and then I was like, oh my god, it's like 5:30, like almost 6. And I was like, oh my god, my mom should be home by now. So I was like, I'm not getting a good feeling. So I immediately called her, and she picked up, but she picked up so I can hear what's going on. And I hear arguing. I immediately sprinted to the house, and my mom, obviously, like, she was crying. She was like looking at him, like they were like arguing, obviously. And then like she kind of went like this, trying to talk to me without my dad trying to see. She said, my room, and I called him. I went outside through the front door. It didn't take that long, and they were telling me like, hey, like, what's going on? And there was 2 officers. One was in the car, and the other one came out and talked to me. When I was telling him, my mom comes out, and she starts like, god, oh my god, he's on the run, he's on the run. And as soon as the officer said that, he sprinted towards like the back of the house. Other officer, he sped around the corner because they were trying to catch him. And next thing you know, there was a ton of cops. Like our whole street was full with cops, and everybody was just like coming out of the houses trying to see what's going on, what happened. After a good 30 minutes, they did end up catching him, and the only reason that they ended up catching him was because of the color of his shirt. He had a neon yellow shirt on, literally this color. I'm not even kidding, like it was this color. The cops did check his truck. I don't know if I can put like the picture, but I'll probably just like cover it. They did find a pew pew. He used to sell, they found Coca-Cola. Yeah, they found that. Later on, found out that while I was sleeping and my dad was taking a shower and grabbing his stuff, he went to my mom's job and waited until she got out and followed her home. And I cannot imagine how scared she was. It really sucks. That happened on my birthday. So that was my 16th birthday present from my father. That was all of how I called the cops on my dad, and he ruined my birthday.
When I was a kid, I was on the bus, and there was this kid on my bus who was kind of mean to me. He would like make fun of how I dressed and stuff, and I had a speech impediment. I used to say things like this, like, oh, look at that car over there, or oh, I really liked recess today. And he would make fun of my voice. One day he was making fun of my voice. He was making fun of me. And while he was making fun of me, he was literally like, oh, and you're probably not even going to get the right gifts from Santa Claus. And in my mind, I remember thinking, like, he actually believes in Santa Claus. That's when I took the opportunity to be like, you believe in Santa? And the kid was like, yeah, I believe in Santa. The Easter Bunny doesn't. And we were at the age where some of us also didn't believe in Santa. So that's when I became cool. I was like, he really believes in Santa Claus, everyone. He believes in the Easter Bunny. And this whole time you've been making fun of me for how I dress and how I talk. Yet you are so naive to believe in Santa Claus coming down your chimney on Christmas night. Nerd. And then I became cool, and that kid became a loser. All because he believed in Santa. But I still think about it to this day, like, damn, I really ruined Santa Claus for that kid. I mean, he had it coming, he was being a bully, but, like, I got to take that away from someone. I got to take away Santa Claus from someone. And it feels good.